Oh my god, what am I doing? Hello, good morning. My name is Desi-Rae. Welcome to Just Thinking Out Loud. It is really great today, and this is the perfect scene for somebody just cut in front of me with no indicator for a funeral in a movie. It's misty, or rather it's misting, since there's these little droplets everywhere. I guess it's sort of atmospheric and scenic, and I can imagine that I'm in the clouds, and I might as well look at it like that rather than think, oh my god, it's so great today. So there's a topic that I want to tentatively touch on, which is brain drain. The brain drain phenomenon from, I would say, many countries to, I guess, the US. I'm going to talk about the US. I guess also Canada and the UK. Since I am Jamaican, I know many people who are part of this effect, and including myself if I don't end up going back home, which I don't think I will, but I'm not super sure yet. And to me, it's a question of individual choice. If you have opportunities open to you, why wouldn't you take them? I have definitely thought about how do I help my country. I've thought about this a lot. Growing up, I would complain about the state of the world all the time. I would say, oh my gosh, everybody's so uneducated. What can I do about it? I feel like they don't know how to think. Can I do anything about that? And I don't really know if I can do anything about that, because people really learn in their homes. And I came from a family that was like, go look in the dictionary every time I wanted to know something, and was always in the library after school. And everybody isn't like that. Lots of people, political lines in Jamaica is mostly based on not thinking. But my father was a PNP supporter, my mother is JLP supporter, so etc, etc. And the only thing you can do about that is education. But if I wanted to go back home and educate people, I need to be given a good income, and I am not going to go into certain places to do the education unless I already have that established somewhere. If I already have the source of income, I might even start a school. I would do that, but I can't do that at a certain age. And when you're young and you're looking at all your prospects in life, you're going to take whatever opportunities open to you. I also came to America, to the United States specifically, because I knew that I wanted to study more than one thing. I took a lot of, and I also went to liberal arts school for that. If I had stayed in Jamaica, I would have probably become a doctor. I wanted to be a vet for a long time, and then I wanted to be, I don't know, just something in the science related fields. But then I wisely volunteered at a couple clinics, and then I decided I can't do this. I can't be around this sort of helping sick people atmosphere all my life. I didn't like the smell of very, very clean places, and one of my friends loved to tell me that he could just see me dropping out of med school because I would just want to be doing a million other things. And I have a best friend who is she's a doctor now. She wears a white coat. I have another friend who came to the US, and he is about to go into medicine. And that's a lot of talent, and I suppose that they could have stayed in Jamaica. But I don't know, am I going to sacrifice my individual needs and wants for that of my country, especially at that age, which I think is important. My mother always used to tell me that if I want to help the world, I need to help myself first. And I don't really feel like I've gotten to that point yet. And in terms of migrant communities going, into a country and sort of sticking to themselves and sending remittances back home. I think it's about 18% of gross national product in Jamaica is due to remittances, not just from highly skilled workers. I also know people in my extended family who come over for sort of low wage jobs and then send that money back home, but they wouldn't be making that money in Jamaica. It just wouldn't happen. You know, I also love to make art, and it's a lot harder to find a market that can afford things like art at a price that I am willing to value my art at. So what about that? You know, and if the people in first world nations didn't want migrants coming into their country, they wouldn't offer them the opportunity and they wouldn't take them. So, and I know that there may be laws in place that push, you know, like my college, for example, to want me to come to the United States, because I remember I struggled to finish college. My grades were pretty good, even though I was struggling. They could have been better if I never had all the things to worry about. And I got a scholarship, but I also had to pay my parents and myself also had to pay some actual money. And I think that for a lot of colleges, a lot of international students do that for them, because everybody can get loans which international students can't get. You have to, unless you have a co-signer in the US, which most people don't have. So I just wanted to touch on that. I know I wanted to study. I took French. I was really into languages. I wanted to do more, but I was like at my limit of how many classes I could take. So a lot of the time, because they limit you, which was really pretty annoying. So I guess that's all I really have to say about it. Is people might think persons should stay in their country and make their country better, and I would probably start a business that was providing essential services, because people wouldn't want to spend money on, you know, more, not necessarily luxurious, but things that you don't actually need to live your life. And when you have to start at the bottom, and then when you have certain of your needs fulfilled, then you can look into other things, and it's just more about comfort than about necessity. And that would be pretty unfulfilling to me. I want to fulfill my greatest potential, and I think a lot of people think like that. So you're gonna take the best opportunity that's out there for you. So, you know, and I guess persons can always change the laws and make immigration a lot more difficult, and that would change the way things are. But in the moment, that's just the way it is right now. And I'm pretty sure that this has been going on for a very long time, for centuries, not just in the modern day, where persons want to develop themselves to their fullest extent. So if they can go somewhere else and make the decision to do that, because some people, my parents had the opportunity to migrate and they decided that they didn't want to because they prefer Jamaica. So there are some people who would decide to stay, and some people who were like, you know, no, I will go and do my thing elsewhere because that's what I want to do. I'm also pretty adventurous. I've traveled by myself a lot. I've couch surfed. I also go on fishing boats with random people all the time. And I'm into learning other languages and then going and practicing them elsewhere. So there is also the kind of person who wants to do that, and not just the economic migrant that exists. So as for countries losing their best and brightest and their skilled, how would those people even fare? I went home, I took a break from school, and I was trying to find a job, and I think that I was pretty overqualified for a lot of things that I was applying for it. I just wanted work, and I couldn't get the work, even though I had that talent. I couldn't even put it to use. And maybe, you know, if I was there for about a year, maybe if I was there for longer, I would have eventually found it. But it's sort of frustrating to have your talents sort of like up here and you're butting against a wall. And you know, maybe I could decide to start my own business, but I need that upfront capital to begin. I'm sure eventually, if I stay in Jamaica, those are just excuses that I would eventually figure it out and find something to do with myself. But I'm just going to go after what I want to go after, and I am glad to be able to go after what I want to go after. And then there's also, well, let's just stick to the intellectual human capital loss of countries rather than speaking more about cultural factors. I'll put that in another video. I hope that made some sense. You know, if people decided to stay behind, if people decided to stay behind in Jamaica and develop the country, would it be a different place? I don't know, because a lot of people do stay behind and they don't leave, and they're still there, who would be called skilled, and they do develop the country as well. But that doesn't change the other parts that aren't being developed. And plus, all that money going back home is more than would be made in Jamaica in order to be able to put it back in. And I think if people really want to talk about countries developing, I would just focus on corruption, not really anything else. Like, I think that would be the biggest hindrance to any sort of development is corruption, and where people are able to spend their money, and where governments, if they're either getting money from their tax base, or if they're getting money from foreign aid, or if they're spending money unwisely and, you know, in lots of debt and not coming out of debt and having to put all the money back into paying off debts because the money was mismanaged in the first place. That's not the fault of the people, and the people can't do much about that other than uprising. But there has to be enough people within that country to uprise, and if enough people aren't seeing what's going on or care enough more than going to parties and having fun, then what are they going to do? The best and the brightest. What are they going to do? There are people in Jamaica who want to make a difference and who are capable intellectually to make that difference, but they also live in fear of the repercussions, because if somebody decides that they don't like what they're doing, they can't trust on their government to take care of that. They can't trust that they live in a secure society, a secure enough society to make those sort of changes happen. So I definitely think that has to be taken into consideration. Like, is it better for people to stay there and live in a place where they don't, maybe, you know, they should go and overthrow, or we should go and overthrow the government and or rally or put some things in place, but the tide is against you. Like, the majority of people, I think, want that but aren't capable of that, or yeah. Or go somewhere else and, like, come here, such as coming here to the United States and building up the country here. I'm talking about highly skilled workers now. I'm not talking about just everybody who migrates here. So I think it's an individual choice, and people can talk about the effects of it, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to options and what people decide to choose is best for themselves. And I know a lot of people who, after they're done working, they go back. I also have people in my family who have done that. They went England, very, very successful, and then they come back, and they probably made more money and help send more money back to Jamaica that way. But as I said before, it's not really if the money is there, but where the money is put to make more money or to develop the country so that other people have access to opportunities in Jamaica rather than having to go elsewhere to have those opportunities. And I know I'm only talking about Jamaica, but I presume it's similar for other places in the world. I don't know if this thing is working. I don't think it is. I don't see any. I don't know if this thing is recording right now, but I hope it did. If not, I'll just have to redo it. Have a great day. And I will see you soon.